Thank you very much to all of you for being here. Well, I've been introduced by him, okay, but still let me tell you a bit about myself. My name is Abel Valero. Well, I've been known as Mr. Snow or Squatter. In my free time, I do reverse engineering on binaries. As I say, at this point in time, I am a member of Amnesia Group, and in this group, we do primarily CTFs. Whenever we find any CTFs that we believe is interesting or important, we publish it in our Twitter accounts. We just publish solutions so that we know, people know how we resolve things. As I say, in the past, I developed tools from Visual Basic, and I also work. Well, these ones they were never published. Okay, these tools, and as I say, I'm very much into reverse engineering and into virtual machines. So let us start. Well, WEBEX platform. As you all know, this is a platform which is very much used for online training. So it allows us to share video, audio, and then it also has an internal IM messaging, and then we can also share webcam and many other options. All this is streamed live to the people attending the meeting, and it also have very many different options to upload, store the meeting, to publish it later on, and also to download it later on. So the whole system is based on a reproducer. So this reproducer has two ways of working. First of all, from the platform, that is to say streaming, where you have a fluid data that is opened and then you visualize it, you view it. And then we also have the traditional play mode. So there is a plugin that you can download in your computer. All that is done, as I say, through a plugin in the browser. And then when you run the platform, the plugin is open, and then you start to receive data. So we move on to the next one. And now, let me tell you, well, this all started because I had to carry out internal training for Amnesia group. Sometimes in our group in Amnesia, we have internal training. In this case, these are the topics that we covered in the training, and when everything was ready to be uploaded, published, I don't know what I did, but I lost all the information. I deleted it from the platform. I had no other choice to either repeating work that it was very lengthy, like 3 hours of training per module. And I said, well, I ruled out hacking my disk, and I said, well, I'm not going to do that. So I thought that perhaps, data were still on the hard disk. I assume that whenever I assume that because I had played the session before, I believe that there are some traces in my hard disk. And as I say, well, I thought about the temps file, and then I focused in trying to find whether there were any traces from these files in the temps. You know that temporary files are referred to or become temporary because they disappear from their original location. So I decided to use a forensic tool to find out traces of my file. For that, I downloaded a tool, and then I checked the temp files, and then I went into data files. I went into WAP files that I had in some folders, and I recovered them. When I started to reproduce those WAP files, and then I found I had listened to myself talking as to my training, and I said, well, I'm sure this file also includes the contents feeding the player. And then I recovered the whole file, and these are all the files that I found. Well, the only one that makes sense a priori is the WAP file that you can see that appears down the list. The others are files that do not give us any information whatsoever. However, on themselves or by themselves, they are not good to me at all because the player was not playing them. And then someone was missing. And I understand that all the players have a container file, and then they have a streaming audio, streaming image. But there comes a time that I'm sure that at a given point in time, all those files get together or come together so that we can play them. However, I was missing the header. I couldn't find the header whatsoever, and then I informed the player and I said, look, in this position you have this file which is sound. This other file is for image. Then I had no other choice but to continue looking in my hard disk, and I knew that these have WAB files. Imagine me looking for all these WAB files in my computer. And then in the end, I found a file that coincided with the specification of other files, and then it also had that header that I mentioned before. I recovered that file, the full size of it, in its full size. But then when I analyzed the binaries, I could see that whenever the WAP file was, it has some text data. And I assumed that I had recovered something, but not everything. And I tried it, and no, it didn't work, it didn't play. And then I move on to analysis. So now we have a folder with a number of files that I've recovered, and one of those files includes many of these other files from the other folder. Of course, they are not the same files, otherwise I would be just have no problem, the solution would be there. But for some reason, well, these files were left there when I played a file, and then kind of the header was left in these other files. And as I say, I cannot really trust that raw file. And then in the beginning of that file, I could see kind of like a header, and then I could see like the sign of the WAP, typical WAP file. Then I started to analyze it. And here you can see, but when we use Radar 2, I found the WAP mark, and you can see 1995-34, and then we can see here this mark. It tells us that, well, clearly this is a WAP. And then I say, well, I can see things already. Okay, let us continue going through it. And then I went to the start of the file, and then in this recovered file, we can see that there is kind of some alignment. I've been seeing files for quite some time now, and you may realize that if you align that, you will we will soon find interesting things. Then I used Radar 2, then I aligned it to 32, and this is what I got. With WXP commands of Radar 2, this format is much more understandable. So notice that I have marked or highlighted an hexadecimal value that caught my attention. This matches exactly with the number of bytes that are recovered from my file. So therefore, I know that in that part of the file, in that part of the header, it stores the size of the whole container. So I continue. So I have enlarged what we could see. So top right corner in this column, you see 70, 100, 378. All those values make me think or make me feel that these are kind of identifiers, some kind of displacement within the file. Well, 70, 100, 70, 103, 70, 112, I think these are IDs, but the one down, the 358, so to me, that's our office. And then we have other sizes, these sizes. So, well, these are just hypotheses in the beginning, so I continue to use Radar 2 again, and then I ask him to go to offset 378. And then here I see what I get in that offset. So here I set this sign $WA, and then when I started to analyze all the files that I recovered, within that recovered files, we had this very same mark. So the raw container, the raw data that I'm analyzing, actually that is a container, and within that container we have all the temp files that I found on the internet, okay? Internet temp files. I repeat the process with the rest of the files and with the rest of the offsets. And then I can see that it matches the files that I found before. So now I have all the necessary, nearly all the information that I need to unite all the files that I found so that I get my header and so that I can play my file. Okay, let us compile everything that I found. So main header, it is 18 bytes long, and the first 4 bytes are the descriptor. So you know that BMPs, they have their initial word, the zip, they have the PK in front. So the value that we find in these platforms is 01000020. And then the next value down, we have another D word. And this value is unknown to me. Well, it is not that unknown. I feel that it either comes from my WebEx user or it is the leader of the meeting. But actually, if you delete or eliminate this value to reconstruct the file, that is not a problem. It continues to work, okay. Then we have the size of the container. This is the first clue that I got, okay, because it tells us the measurement, okay, how long our content would be, then null, and then from 12 and 13 we have the number of sections. So I have recovered the number of files. Imagine that there were 10 of them, 10 files. So if there are 10 files there, it would tell us that our containers has 10 files in it. What it does, and don't ask me why it does it, when you initialize the number of sections, then that is multiplied by 2. If there are 8 files in the container, then it shows 18. I guess it has to do with alignment reasons. This is for aligning. And now, last, in the positions from 10 to 13, sorry, no, from 14 to 17, we have another file of this kind. Now, next file. So you see that how we transform the data or this structure. So it doesn't really make sense to transform it or to pass it on to Python and others. Well, all there have 4 bytes. Unknown value, eMagic, file size, 2 values for reserves, and then the number of sections. Then we also have this data here. So I refer to them as item sections. So this is the descriptor. This tells us what the file has in it. So it is like the table of contents in a book. So it tells me where I will find something within that file, what I will find, and last, what's the size of it, how much it takes up, okay, so that I can size it within the container. So we have the type of block, the block index, the size of the block, and then offset, and the rest of the indexes are set to 0, okay, are null. Okay, as I say, I I change that into a structure, I give it a structure to it. So there is a value there, that's the index. That index value is a bit special because within a conference you may have several video segments. So every time you add a segment of video, you have to increase the index value. Often there is only one. So the index value in all the section, it is set to 0. Imagine that you have two WAP files, two video files. In the second one, you insert it and you increase the second one. So it is just for the player to know where the information is and, well, to organize that information. And, well, last, this was the most difficult thing, was to identify each of these items. These items tells us what file they match with, okay? So this you can find in the temp files of the internet with the suffix minus dash -1 and then the 103. These are the files that are being streamed during the conference. Then we also have the video file, the index of the video file, the sound file, and other files that are not known, but that I don't need, okay? But I just want to know that, well, that I have them there. So this was the hardest part, and I'm sure that does not contain does not include all the files. This is the way I numbered the files, and this makes our life easy when it comes to, well, to recover all the content. Okay, with all the data that we compiled, we have a structure, we have good enough information to generate a tool that, together with the tools that we covered, we have a file that we can play in WEBEX. So we reconstruct the structure, we generate the items header, and in one file, when we have the structures, then we can implement a utility to do all that for us. And then that utility just follows a number of instructions. So this is the process, the steps to follow. First of all, we organize the files as they appear in the numbered, okay? So this is the order that we have to follow. Okay, we start off with the chat file, then with the streaming file. That's the order that we always follow. Then we have the segment type. Then we obtain the size of each file. Then we create a memory buffer to include all the files that all the 10 files that we recovered. Then we add in the structure header. Then we initialize the field eMagic 002001. That is already in the Word, okay, on the screen. Okay, so it's ready to include in the structure, and then we initialize the field, including the number of sections. And as I say, with the number of files that we have, we multiply that by 2, okay, and then we set it to 0. Then we add an entry to the structure. We recovered 12 temp files. Therefore, we have to introduce 12 item structures, and then we have to initialize each of them as needed. So we have to include the number of ID that they have and the index. Remember, you always set it to 0 unless there are recurrent sections, and then as the length. You also want to include the length. Oh, and there is a field left. Okay, we align to 4 bytes, and then we insert the content of the first file. So we have created the 8 items already, and then we start to introduce files. Okay, we introduce our file, the content of the first file, and the only thing that is left to go to the first item that we generate and to tell it where it is within the container. Then we update the offset. We repeat steps 8 and 9 with each of the files that we have recovered. We calculate the total size of the files that we inserted plus the bytes that we got after the aligning and the inclusion of the header, and then we insert the the field file size, and then it's ready to play it. Okay. All right. This is a proof of concept of this. For the proof of concept, we will be using the files that we obtained. We will use a utility that I generated, and then we will see that everything is working. Okay, give me a sec. Okay, I need to find something to show you.
Windows P. So let's move on to the next stage on screen. I minimize this screen. There you go. I will initialize on web platform with the user created by me to test it. Let's see if it's working properly. There you go. I got a recorded video from a previous demonstration. I did it at my hotel's room here. As you can see on screen, I wasn't invited to this meeting. I have no option to download it at any place. Only the creators can download it. The creator can move on to the next link. Only the creator can give you the link. So you can do a snapshot directly. I will reproduce the recording for all of you guys. Plugin is launched, executed Weber's reproducer and reproductor. So this is a simulation. Pay attention to the fact that the reproductor and recorder, it has a bar and it's done a buffer, so I can't stop it. I'm not interested in it. I only have to find the temporary files. I didn't say before that during this demo, we don't need to recover anything from the hard disk unless I shut down the reproducer. All the files are in temporary mode. I don't know where this keeps the temporary files on Windows. Let's see it.
Soy el usuario rooted, ¿verdad?
Am I the panelist rooted token? Panelist 2014, Roman, am I correct? Wait a sec. Wait a sec, please. I'm gonna do something different on screen. Command.
Vale.
Okay, though. Easy go, easy come. Pay attention on screen. Can you see this little number on screen? Are you familiar with this? Are you familiar with these files? Are they very saying you? It took me a lifetime to recover them. They're always on there until I shut down the player. I will take this folder and I will rename it. I will copy it much better. Let's create a copy of this folder. I'm gonna paste it over here. I don't know what I did. Okay, I got a copy on screen. I'm going now to the player, which is just around here. Here we go. I'm not very interested in this, so I'm shut down. So the temporary files on the internet disappear. But we got. It's a temporary file. It does its job. When it's shut down, it disappears forever. So I created a copy folder here. Now you can move on the generated tool following the previous steps I mentioned before. I have so many things on screen. It's very saturated on screen. Okay, though, there you go. This is our tool. Let's say, where is the location of this directory? I will copy the root over here. It's telling me that it's on user, rooted, and so on and so on. Users, rooted. Sorry, let's put it on the desktop. Let's find it. I have so many things open on my desktop. My gosh, and here we go. Control V. I take out the comma, the little comma. It's telling me there it doesn't appear. The copy has been deleted. There you go. We put it over here, and I will find it over here for sure. I guess it will be refreshed. I will get a refreshment on it. Okie dokie. Here you go. Here we go. This is our folder. Simply we say accept. And here we go. The tool says, OK, the process has been immediately successful. Click, click. It took me longer to find all the files and organize the Control-V, Control-C down to put it on over here. This is simply generating this kind of file, RTF, downstairs. Now let's move on over there. It's being created on the desktop itself. We shut down the weapon and the tool. Oh, here, over there, upstairs. It didn't find the application because I didn't install the WEBEX applications player. So it's over here. It was shut down before. Now it's open for all of you guys. We're going to tell them, please reproduce this file. Here we go. Here we go. We go to the desktop. I got my testing over there. Now WRF and is as the file from the very same platform. This tool is very, very simple. It's a very simple tool. Everybody can reproduce it in half an hour of programming time other places. If it happens that the tool stops working, it's because I didn't capture something during the analysis. So I don't know where should I put it, especially once you know how this is working properly. So let's move on where we were before. Now I'm doing the application. The application extend. Duplicate, am I correct? Duplicate or extension? I duplicate. I'm a very stat-born guy, big-headed man I am. Here we go, this is it. So you guys, you got a big hole. So by doing three simple silly things, I perform this marvelous task. Everything is transmitting in plane, no problem. But there are problems. These formations, these trainings are used in some business internal things to transmit, convey the account number. You can do it internally. The chat you're using internally is transmitting in plane. In plane, purely and solely, they worry about putting XLM, super complete. Imagine, so that the header you saw with only gotten has it or right with a bit of obfuscation. Rod 13. It didn't give you the intuition of what's going on. You need to get into the player and reproducer to dismantle. I'm doing inverse engineering from my hard disk. This is it. They cipher a little bit the content, and this is it. By ciphering a little bit the content, this will prevent from many problems. I'm not facilitating you the whole task in 30 seconds. This is it. Thank you, guys.
Si alguien tiene alguna pregunta.
Should you have any questions, please raise your hands.
Hola.
Buenas.
¿Qué tal? Muy buenas.
Muchas gracias por la charla,
Hello,
impresionante.
thank you, marvelous
La primera duda
talk.
que tengo
Very first
es,
question for you, my
¿se lo has
friend.
notificado ya
Did you
a la gente de
notify
Cisco?
this? Do you notify Cisco people of this? Do Cisco people know about
Me
this?
deja más tranquilo.
Oh, this is very relieving. I didn't go into Cisco platform. I didn't touch any of the Cisco protocols. I just did recovery of hard disk files. So you can capture in the very same way. I don't think this can trigger any problems for you guys because you didn't care about keeping it. At Cisco, is their problem, it's not mine.
Una segunda.
Second question.
¿Te has propuesto con
Have
tu
you ever
tiempo
thought
libre
about
analizar otro
devoting
tipo de
part of your free
herramientas
time
que
to
sean
analyze
similares?
similar tools doing the same things? No, I haven't. I conducted some training and I lost it, so I have to recover it. So I don't devote my time to doing this. I'm more interested in more binary analysis, virtual machines. 0101 is my subject matter. Thank you. I will answer you back in the light of your questions. We are in favor of full disclosure. Those are lifetime topic. And the one who discloses many things fully for us will give you a prize. But we are not crazy people. We are not irresponsible people. This guy didn't get anybody's platform. He didn't steal anything from it. He didn't did any kind of inverse engineering on anybody. He only our speaker only analyzed the zeros and ones on their hard disk. So please don't threaten our speaker about doing bad things. Roman told me that he can do himself all this stuff. If we're here, it's because we can do so in a very legal and fair way. No strings attached. Any more questions, please?
Buenas. Muchas gracias por la charla.
Hello,
Me ha gustado
thank you very much for
Yo
your
solo una
very nice,
pregunta.
interesting
¿La herramienta esta,
presentation.
por
This
casualidad,
tool,
ahora es pública?
have you ever thought about publishing it? Yes, I have. I'm going to tell you where you can download this tool. I will send an email to Cisco people not to get angry about this, and then you can publish it and release it. We are good people. We are good great men. So I will publish this tool with open source code, and you can get it on your own. Thank you, man.
Muy buena, enhorabuena por la
Hello,
presentación.
congratulations for your nice presentation. In the format, it seems to be there's many strange things. This was a streaming format, so these channels are very recurring. We can optimize the format by eliminating all these strange things on screen, because in the brain it's like resting, subtracting. In the reconstructed final, we can see that the paddings, when you transmit the real flux of data, they use MP7. I don't have it clear, but you can find the padding over there in the format. Thank you, Abel, for the nice presentation.